Very good. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and a very happy new year to you all. What a great time to dig in and start Tai Chi regime and Qigong regime and look to better health. As you can probably hear, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm starting as I mean to go on with some gentle exercise. I invite you to join me as we revise some of our 24 International Simplified form. So today I was thinking, what do I want to do? We'll go through the whole form, but actually I would like to focus on the very last little bit of the form, which is the gather and close up. And actually, out of all the steps that I teach in the 24, I find that this is the worst executed out of them all. And it's relatively simple, it's not that difficult, but people already think that they have finished the form. And also we spend so much time grafting and polishing each and every step as we get through that when we come to the end, it's kind of sort of bustled through and folks just don't seem to be able to get it. And of course, as a teacher, I take the responsibility that I have not paid attention to it enough. So we're actually going to warm up with the closing movement of the 24 International Simplified form. So I invite you to come into your space, please, and you'll have to excuse me if I nip off to the side and blow my nose every so often. There is a cold running through our family. Okay, so have a little move around. I would always encourage you, as you come into your Tai Chi space, to just check in with your body. Don't go straight into official movements. Have a little, just fix of any clothing. Make sure that you feel comfortable. Make sure that your body is actually responding, that there's no sudden aches or pains, that you're aware of how you're getting on within yourself. And then when you're pretty much sure you've done your first little MOT, then we can get started. So let's take right hand in a fist, please. Left hand straight and pull back that thumb. Bring the feet together, bring the hands together, and we salute. 学上好. And you can say 老师好. Very good. Relax down and we open. So we are going to do a few wee warm-up exercises. We're not just doing the last movement of the form. So let's go into our 4-corner exercise. It's a little bit cheeky. We are using an exercise from the Chen family as warm-up. But the Chen style is the root of all Tai Chi styles. So I don't think it's that cheeky. It's a really nice wee warm-up. Good, so you're feeding into the 4 corners, you're feeling a sense of connection within the whole body, but you're allowing the upper half and lower half of the body to counterbalance. Good, so if I show you that from the side, can you see as the hips go forwards, the upper half goes back. As the hips go right, the upper half goes left. It really is a counterbalance move. And it's not easy, actually, if you haven't done this before, or if you've only been doing it for a while. Because we want to keep a feeling of cohesion in the body. Show it from the corner. So everything moves as one, but there is a kind of like a bamboo willowiness. Good. All right, now let's change direction. Into the 4 corners we go. Now sometimes I will do this exercise with my eyes closed. And if you are confident with your balance, that can be a nice thing to do, as it helps us to bring our awareness more internally into the body and feel the connection between every part. However, if you have any balance issues, I would recommend keeping your eyes open, and that just helps you feel more stable, more confident. All right, let's do a second move, similar to the first, but this time we remain upright. So we're rolling the center, this area, into the four inner corners of the hips. And your body naturally rounds off the corner, so you don't have to worry about that. But it is a square or an oblong, because the hip is an oblong. Rather than just circling around the middle, we are exploring and connecting with the inside of the quad, inside of the pelvic cavity. Now, if you do this enough, you will find that it does help to loosen any muscles. It helps to lubricate the joints. It helps to swirl the energy, so strengthen the battery pack, if you like. It's bringing energy into the center of the body. But it also helps you identify if there are any lasting issues. So I've always had an issue in my right hip. As a teenager, I went to a specialist in London, in Harley Street, very prestigious doctor, because I was training as a professional ballet dancer, and it was important that we knew what I was working with. And my mum said the other day, oh yeah, didn't he say it was arthritis? And I was going, did he? I didn't remember that. But anyway, sometimes you will have historic issues, and even the best warm-up in the world might not get rid of them. But you can tune in and notice, okay, how is it behaving today? And you'll also notice when you change things in your diet or in your healthcare regime, when it makes a difference. If you do an exercise like this, you can calibrate, you can work out what's going on. Whereas if you're just doing form, by the time you've realized something's not right, you could have injured yourself. Whereas with this, at least you go, oh, okay, that's how it is today, so now I know how to use it. Let's change direction, please. And you might think, gosh, we're doing a lot of these. Jane's talking a lot. But actually, 30 would be a minimum normally in class for this, because again, the repetition allows the body to relax into it. And it teaches the body the movement, so you don't even have to think. If you do 10 reps, if you do 20 reps, it's something, better than nothing, but the more the merrier. Actually, Grandmaster Chen encourages us to work up to 500 squares in each direction. And this is for health, not just for martial arts. But we do what we can comfortably. And that's the balancing act. We have to work on building up the repetitions without straining, without making things worse. So you'll know if you suffer from arthritis that there is a balancing act, that you want to move to keep things moving, to keep the energy flowing. But if you move too much, it can actually make things worse. So it's a balancing act. We have to find the best level, and it'll change every day. Ease out of your stance, please. Some days it will be what Grandmaster Chen calls a soup day practice. Ease yourself, please. Have a little bit of a stretch, have a little bit of a move. If you want a wee drink, have a drink. Excuse me. So I think we can all identify with the whole, if you're not well, maybe you would eat soup rather than having a big fried meal. But if you're just healthy and moving around the place and active, you might have pasta, for example, for lunch. And then, if you want to indulge and really give your gut something to work on, you might have pizza. So that's how Grandmaster Chen describes our Tai Chi training. Some days we work with soup. That's a high level, gentle, soft, don't push it too much. Some days you're sort of daily bread, so to speak, pasta. So a little bit wider, a little bit deeper. You're pushing the boat out just a little bit more. And some days you really go for it and you really do as much as you can, as deep as you can, to further your practice, to give yourself a boost, to prove to yourself that you can. And that's what he calls pizza. So it's important that we vary what we do according to our needs and according to how we feel. So today for me it's soup because I've got a cold. I don't want to harm myself. Let's just do a little swing, please, to your own level. Good. On a very serious point, a lot of athletes, even like Olympic level athletes, and enthusiastic amateurs, change direction please, have really damaged themselves in the course of their lives, not all, but some, by pushing themselves when they should have been resting. If they have been ill, for example, if you have the likes of ME or even chicken pox or a flu, and you're thinking, oh, I need to get training and blast it, blast, and really push themselves. The amount of effort required to fight through such an illness can actually lead to an enlarged heart. So the heart has to work a lot harder if your body is fighting an infection and trying to train at a high level. And so people can end up with heart conditions and end up in the worst case scenarios, sort of it being the cause of their departure. So that's if they're blasting it. So we don't want to blast. I mean, I don't think anyone in this class is a professional athlete, but maybe you are, I don't know. But it is important, if you are ill, go gently. You can still train. In fact, it's good to train, but you train to the level that is 70% of your full capacity for that day. So for me today, that's means I need to go a wee bit gentler, excuse me. Because your heart will have to work just that little bit harder if you're fighting an infection as well as just getting on with daily grind. Okay, so here we go. We're going to look at the last movement of the form. And this is called, I call it gather and close. Okay, so I think the thing that gets people is that it's an asymmetrical movement. It is not just scoop your arms round while in a plie, from the ballet term plie, a bend of the knees. It's not. We turn out one foot. If I'm mirroring it for you, you turn out one foot and you are feeding the weight more into one side than the other. Both legs bend, but more into one side than the other. And then we bring that foot straight, which brings the weight more into center. And then we take a half step. So we're not closing all the way to turn the palms and then relax down. So I think what I'd like to do today as an exercise is actually do the practice on both sides. So we're doing gather on both sides. Now, the teacher that taught me this, Ju Shanghai, he used to talk about cutting slices of watermelon and going, this is for me and this is for you. I mean, we do have watermelon here, but it's not something that we eat as much as perhaps they eat in that part of China, in Shenyang and Liaoning, because it's so hot there. Watermelon is very cooling. I actually tend to think of just scooping around the world. Anytime I have this movement, I think of scooping around the world. I just have this big globe in my mind. So follow me, please. We'll do it to the side as we do in the form, or rather you will. I'm going to do the mirror image first, and then we'll do it on the other side. So we'll ping pong back and forth between the two sides, or table tennis back and forth between the two sides. Are we ready? So lift the arms up, step to the side, turn the toes out and scoop so the weight is more in your right. Now bring the toes to point forwards, right hand underneath. Come into hip width or shoulder width, turn the palms and relax down. Good, and we're going to lift up and do the same to the other side. So we step out, turn the toes out, both knees bend, but the weight is more on your left. Turn the left toes in, weight is more in the center. Foot in, turn the palms and relax down. And let's do it again. Lift up, step out, turn the toes out, scoop, turn the toes in to point forwards, half step, same side comes underneath, turn the palms and relax down. Repeat. Your eye line should reflect the direction of your stepping foot, your leading foot. So as you turn out and step, you look past the toe. As the toe turns in, you look forwards. Come in and down. Step out. Now you can step out first and then turn the toe if you like. Turn the toe in. Half step. Last time. Well done. And close. Good. Excuse me while I blow my nose. Oh dear. With the HD camera, I think you'll see every pore, so okay, well done. So as you can see, it's not a difficult move, but as I say, it is often done poorly. People think of it as the home straight, they think that, oh right, well it's finished now. Or I don't know, maybe they're just at that stage in the form, they're tired mentally, physically, and they fluff it. But I want you to pay attention. Just like you're playing a musical instrument and you're playing a beautiful piece of music, even if you were coming up to the very last note, until the note finishes, we want to maintain a level of focus. We want to maintain a level of quality within the sound, within the movement. And only when we close, that's when we can let go and no longer worry about, or no longer think about getting it perfectly right. So let's do it one more time. This time I'm going to do it with my back to you, and let us do it as we do in the form. So at least to introduce the movement, we will do our last movement, which is apparent close up. Okay, so we're all doing the same thing. We're facing the front. Now we turn to our left. We have done our block parry punch, ban lan shui. Can you see? Okay. And we have apparent close up. Left hand slides under. Circle back and in. Circle forwards and in. We're going to lift the arms up, turning the body. Turn the left toes in. Turn the right toes out and scoop. Turn the right toes in, right foot halfway in, turn the palms, relax down and close. Good, and recover, and the heel tap. So let's do that again. From our punch, apparent close up, circle back and in. Forwards and in. Arms up, turning the toes in, turning the toes out, scoop. Turning the toes to point forwards, half step, palms face down, arms down, close, recover, relax. Good. One more time. Ready, and so that's how we do it in the form. I think it's quite nice actually to practice on both sides. We don't have to do the apparent close-up on both sides, but just to get this feeling of asymmetry. It is an asymmetrical movement. We are not going to both sides. We're going to our right, our center, and close. But for our brains, and just as an exercise, and to get that neural plasticity a little bit more, I would like to do it on both sides as we just did. So this time we will do it silently. We will start as we do in the form, and then we'll just ping pong back and forth, as I say, on both sides. Are we ready? And oops, I forgot to close, sorry, keep going. And last time. Very good. Okay, have a little break if you want to have a drink. And now we will repeat the end of the form from apparent close-up. Excuse me. Now, if there's any questions, feel free to jump in. Cheers. Oh yes, is there a question? No? Okay. Good. All right. So hopefully you agree with me that it's a simple move. It's not very complex. It is just the sort of rounding off. And I think it is very lovely that this last move in the form has this kind of all-encompassing, tying it all together, universality about it. But it is asymmetrical, and I think that is really the biggest blindsider for people, because they see the arms and they think, okay, well, it's in the middle. It's in the middle. But actually, Tai Chi, even though we use the yin-yang symbol constantly, it looks like we have two shapes that are exactly the same coming into balance. It's actually showing opposing forces coming into balance. And often that means that we have to differentiate. It can't be in the middle, because if it's in the middle, then our two halves are exactly the same. We need to show that they are opposing forces that, when combined, create harmony. So that means full and empty. It means up and down. It has to harmonize, because if it's exactly the same, then there's no differentiation. Interestingly, little sidebar, just to give you a chance to rest. When I teach the Tai Chi origin and symbol theory, often people know about Wuji, the empty circle. That's before we create Tai Chi, before we create our yin-yang. We have everything the same. Everything is just one. So that's the empty circle. Then you have Taiji. The yin-yang picture is depicting these two forces in opposition, but they're coming into balance. So it's depicting a universe of harmony, and that's what we're trying to create within our Tai Chi practice. We want first to become completely balanced in ourselves through universality. Just everything is the same. Wuji. We let go and we keep listening and feeling until our sense of where our bodies stop and the universe starts, there's no barrier. We're all the same. And when you get that feeling, you achieve harmony. You achieve balance without even doing anything. Just letting go and listening and feeling and letting go. That's Wuji. Taiji is all of this stuff that we're doing. We're harmonizing, we're expressing up and down, forwards and back, left and right. We're experiencing opposing forces and we're bringing them into balance. But if you remember, do you remember? There is a third symbol within this sequence of understanding the universe. And it is showing a system that is not in balance, that is in crisis. And that is depicted by the circle with a line straight down the middle with black on one side and white on the other, or whatever colors, black and red, sometimes it's used. But this idea of this circle with this straight down the middle, there is no harmony. These are two opposing forces that are unyielding and unable to harmonize. And that's when we experience that, that's disaster. So in the natural world, that's when, hurricanes and volcanoes just wipe out everything. In the human political world, it's when two factions cannot find equal ground and end up at war. And within ourselves, it can end up that we go into absolute crisis, we go into anxiety attacks, or even worse, that we just completely break down in ourselves. This is when we just cannot find a flow, when we are absolutely stuck with one and the other, and no give and take, and no yield and no flow. So very rare is it that you will find a Tai Chi movement that has the feet 50-50. It's not unheard of, because we can express the flow in different ways, but it's far more common that we're actually full on one side and empty on the other, and we're flowing from one into the other. So necessarily, you don't get this. Often, you don't get 50-50, because it's not really depicting what we're looking for. Excuse me. We want to show that yin flows into yang, that yang flows into yin. While we are moving, we are depicting this harmonious interplay of the forces balancing each other. So long story to say it's not 50-50, okay? Don't do this at the end of the form. All right, so let's do it. Let's just practice a couple of times, please. We'll do the end of the form. Are we ready? And good, again, please. And here we return to Wuji. So if you're doing your own practice, as opposed to a performance, but even in a performance, you want to take a moment, a second, to stand quiet and still. Consider it if we go back to the analogy of a piece of music or an orchestra playing. If the orchestra are playing very well, when they finish playing, you should hear a pin drop. The whole audience and everyone holds their breath almost. There's this moment of silence and peace before, if they're lucky, then they get a standing ovation or they get a big clap. So you should not just close and then shove off. If you can, find yourself back in that first diagram of the empty circle. We want to return to that universality, to that now I'm letting go and experiencing whatever it is your nervous system is telling you at the end of your practice. Feel it, let it play out. So if you wanted to, you could actually stay in the open position for a while before you close and do the Qigong method of listening, feeling, letting go. And you could do that for half an hour if you wanted to. That would be a brilliant practice for you when you're practicing on your own. If you did that as part of a performance, I'm sure by the time you'd finished your Wuji, the entire audience would have left. So in those cases, when you finish your Tai Chi in performance, then you would close and just for a moment, embrace that feeling of letting go into nothing again, just that feeling of And often you'll see this little heel tap just at the end. We lift and drop, and that's rather like your full stop when you've finished writing or you've done your signature and you do a little boop just to tell your system as well as your audience that you have finished your Tai Chi practice or your Qigong practice. And then actually you can step out of your practice if you want, and that says to you, now I can just be human again, as opposed to be expressing this very characterized and stylized expression of the universe. So as I say, if you were to just close and then walk off, it's rather like a violinist playing this beautiful piece of music, and just as they finish, they drop their violin and walk off. We want to give the practice that respect, and give yourself the respect, and allow the ripples of what you're doing to actually play out. After practice, the ongoing side effects of what we're doing, or the effects of what we're doing, will go on for a good 48 hours. Just initial obvious changes will keep expressing themselves. So you can't stand for 48 hours and listen and feel, but you can just give it that little moment of time. So you choose. Often at the end of a form, my heart is thumping. quite hard. And I notice that my breath is laboured a little bit. So I like to stand for a few moments and just follow and listen to my heart rate and my breath calming down. And it's difficult actually because one wants to just go, oh, you know, but actually if you just give it that moment, it somehow makes it sweeter and it deepens the effect. So think of it as a catalyst for furthering and developing the outcome that we're looking for. And hey, if you can do that without any extra effort, why would you not? Okay, folks, so let us now have a go through the entire form. And you can go as gently as you like. If you wish, you can sit and watch. That's no problem at all. I'm not going to really talk you through it much. We're just going to do it. Think of it as a little New Year's performance for yourself. And this is being recorded, so you can have a wee play with the recording as well. Okay, so come over to your right-hand side, please. And remember, we are stepping a little back to begin. Wuji. Calming down. Listen behind. And begin. Keep going with old cat washes its face and begin to step back. To go into brush knee push. One more step back. Turn. Now I'm going to take a step just so that I'm still on screen. And kicking section. Turn to the back, taking the weight right, scoop, lift the left side up, kick to the left corner. Make a hook with the right. Smaller, everything bigger. Step to the diagonal for snake creep stop. Turn left foot, turn right foot. Turn left again, golden cockerel. Turn right, turn left, turn right again, golden cockerel. Jade maiden. Needle to sea bottom. Fan through back. Block. Parry. Punch. Apparent close up. Scoop. And close. Give yourself a moment. Allow yourself to return to stillness, body and mind. Observe the internal universe, your heart rate, your breathing, your muscles, your energy. Observe as everything calms. And a heel tap. Very good. And that's step out of our practice. Well done. So how did you get on? Yeah? All right. Good. Any questions? No? Nothing in particular? Yes, there looks like there's something going on there, Pam. Yeah.
Oh, I had to unmute myself. So just the ending that we were practicing,
Yeah.
when you're stepping into the corner here,
Yeah.
okay, just double checking. So you're not
Um,
much forward.
you're not, it's not forward. No, it's not. You're stepping to the side, but the toe is turned to the corner.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Um, if I were to show you sideways on, for example, so say if that was the front, okay, so I've finished my apparent close up like
Right.
this. Okay, so I'm coming up and over, and I'm actually not moving my right foot. I'm just turning the toe and then turning it back, and then the left foot coming in. So in our practice, I understand maybe my little exercise confused matters because for the practice I was actually getting you to step out. But if you're doing the form, for example, if you are now the front view, so I've flipped the room, I'm not mirroring, so I've done the apparent close up, circle, circle. I'm lifting my arms, I'm turning my front toe in, and I'm turning my right toe out. So I'm not actually stepping at all. So it actually is slightly in front, but I've not stepped it forwards. So actually, yeah, I'm going to correct my previous statement. Yeah, it is slightly diagonally forwards,
Okay,
but you're
okay.
not stepping it. You're just turning your toes.
Turning
But
it off. Okay,
yeah,
all
because
right.
you're in bow stance, aren't you? So there's your
Yeah,
bow stance. So there's shoulder width. So your right foot is actually, you know, like half a step further towards the front than your front step. You're not in bow stance like that. You see what I mean?
tightrope.
Yeah, there's hip width, there's shoulder width. So so then when you turn, the front toes turn in, your right toes turn out, but you see my feet are still, my right foot is still forward, but I'm not stepping it. I'm just turning the toe to scoot, turning it back to point forwards, and then bringing my left foot side by side. Yeah? Is that clear? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's not a step. So when we were doing excuse me, when we were doing the training exercise, I was just getting you to step out into the position, but actually that's something that we could bring into the exercise so we're not stepping to the side. Yes, if we were stepping, actually, we should be stepping slightly forward, shouldn't we? In order to replicate the exact movement of the form. So well spotted, yeah. So the actual form itself, in the form itself, we're not stepping. We're just turning. Turn in, turn out, turn in, step in, and step close. Good. I think because that was a really good point, I'd like to actually do it again. Sorry, the sun is just hitting. I was trying to correct that. The sun is hitting the thing. Okay, so let's just practice it again, bearing that in mind. So can we go into bow stance, please? So you have a bit of width to your stance. Your left foot's in front. We do our apparent close up. So left toes lift and turn in as you turn the body. So you're in V-shaped position for a moment and then turn out so the weight is forwards. And yes, the foot is more forwards, but you haven't stepped it. And then turn it in again. So your right foot is still forwards. Bring the right foot halfway in. So now your feet are side by side. Turn, bring it down, and left closes. Yeah, so let's do that one more time. So apparent close up, left toes in, right toes out, right toes in, right foot brings it to level. Now your shoulder width level. Palms face down, arms down, and close left. Good. It's funny, Pam, I had not even thought of that. That's really cool that you picked up on that the legs are asymmetrical. But that's another example, now I come to think of it, of this idea of the yin-yang not being 50-50. So if we're going from bow stance in, we're actually not side by side. That foot is forwards, but it's just because you've turned the heel rather than stepped. Then you turn the toe in, then you go back to your horse stance, and then you close it again. Isn't that right? No, sorry, it'll be close left. So right toe turns out, right toe turns in, right foot steps in, and then left to close. So necessarily, in most Tai Chi forms, there is this convention that we open with the left foot and we close with the left foot. And there is some nuanced reasoning for this. I've heard Fei Li Yip, a beautiful master who's based in England and teaches Yang style Tai Chi and Qigong. She talks about the left side leading energy and the right side feeding energy. So you could think of the left side as gentle and the right side as more powerful. Or sometimes you say that left side is absorbing and the right side is giving. So we open with the left because it leads the energy, and then the right side, which often is the more dominant side, acts. And again, at the end of the form, we want to lead the energy back into center, so the left foot closes as it is more gentle. It's like, you know, if water wants to go somewhere, you get a little rivulet, just a little bit of water leads the way, and then all the water that follows knows exactly where to go, and it's much easier to flow. So actually we lead with our softer side in opening and in closing. Now, Master Locke has gone against that convention in one of his forms, in the Phoenix form, because he says, well, why not? You can do anything if you like. But conventionally, we open left and we close left. It's not the end of the world if you get confused, but that's the convention. Good, so we're going to finish, folks, excuse me, while I blow my nose one more time. Good. And I love the way, I must say, every time I teach Tai Chi, I'm also learning. As Pam pointed that out, it didn't even occur to me. I just thought, well, your feet are side by side, but actually they're not. If you're in bow stance and you turn, you are 1 foot forwards. But as I say, it's that. It's not a step. Okay, so our training exercise was imperfect in that way. Maybe next week I'll tweak it so that it's more close to the actual form, so that it is actually bow stance to turn back. Okay, so a little warm down, please. It's, I hope that you enjoyed as much as I do. Often it's these little things and relatively simple things that tend to get brushed under the carpet. As I say, it's the least well performed move that I see my students do. And so I decided, right, I need to fix this because the buck stops here. You know, we have to we have to give the information to get a good outcome. So let's go down to the legs and come back up over the shoulders, a little shake out, and we salute. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. As I say, a very happy new year, prosperous and healthy, and I look forward to seeing you next time.